Hello, welcome back to AutMouse Labs. My name is Penny and I'm glad you're here. Today we are going to be continuing on with our RPG Maker plugin tutorials, and we are going to be looking at kind of the last piece of basics that you need in order to be able to construct a more advanced plugin. That is, we're going to be looking at collecting metadata or note tag data. If you look inside of your engine, you go to any given section, so we're going to go to classes, for instance. There's a note section. There is under actor as well. And importantly, there is under skill and items. So what this means is that you can collect this data and give it to your plugin to do things with. So for our purposes, we're going to be creating a steal plugin, something that allows you to have a steal command. And we're going to use note tags to determine what items an enemy has. Now the way I have it set up first is pretty basic, and we can actually expand on this, and as the series goes on I probably will. But to begin with, when you create a note tag and you want to use the metadata way of grabbing it that we're going to be using, it has to be in a certain format. So it has to be between brackets like an HTML tag, and there has to be a name and then a colon and then a value, right? Now it doesn't matter what the name or value is, but this is the expected format. So for instance, we have item 1, which is 7, and item 2, which is 8. We're going to be able to collect that data in our code and use it to have the user be able to steal item 7, which is a potion, and item 8, which is a super potion. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing, and that is our target. Looking at our code, let's go over here, make it a little bit bigger so y'all can see it. You can look at this and right away you'll know, compared to other ones that we've done, that this is a little bit more advanced. Okay, so the first part is, as always, we're going to have our JS.data, target MZ, plugin description, author. If you're not sure how this works, please look at some of my earlier videos I go over in detail. We are going to have a command, which is a plugin command, and that's going to be called steal. It executes the steal command, and it has a description using a common event tied to a skill to create a steal skill. Like always, we are going to have an object. In this case, it's called AML for AutMouse Labs, and it's going to try to find itself or create a new object. Because this plugin comes after some of my other plugins where AML already exists, it's going to end up using itself. Next up, we have a alias function that should look familiar as well. AML.updateAction is the name of our function we're creating, and we're setting it equal to an existing function, which is BattleManager.updateAction. We're letting the computer know that the BattleManager.updateAction is a function, and this is what it does. Now we added something in between. So this comes from the function, this comes from the function, but this part here, we added. If the target is not undefined, then set our target to the target of the action. This is important because when either an enemy or a party member attacks, uses a skill, whatever the target entity is, gets stored. And we need that to be able to get at our enemy so that we can find out what enemy it is, so that we can find out what its note tags are, so we can know how to steal from it. So this is our added code. The rest of this is just from the function itself, and then at the end, aml.update.call, this calls our function that we made to finish the aliasing. Again, if you're not sure what aliasing is, take a look at one of my earlier videos. I do cover how aliasing works. Next, we're going to start making our steal function. So our steal function right now doesn't have the completed plugin command structure, although we probably will add that, maybe even in this video. But we have aml.steal, which is a function. We have a couple of variables we need, the temp steal queue and the role. Now notice the role is aml.role.36. That comes from one of my other plugins. Specifically, it comes from TT Skills, I think, actually. Yeah, so we define it here, but because it's in our object and we access our object, we have access to it, so we can just set it to role. That way you're not redoing your code. This is why having an object based on your name, your developer name, is really helpful. Okay, get possible items from the database entry. This is the new part that we're going to do today. So if BattleManager.targets, so if we are in battle and there are any targets possible, let our target equals aml.target.enemy ID. So AML.target we get above from this. Its enemy ID is a number that all enemies have. In the case of our first enemy, it's 1. We know that because enemies, 1, that's the ID. Okay? So, get our enemy ID. And then I have a console log. This is just for debugging purposes. It lets us know who our target is. So this is a for loop, and this is a special for loop because it uses the in syntax. So this says, for an item in data enemies target.meta. So data enemies is a structure or a list built into RPG Maker. For what? For our target. Our target is the enemy ID of our target. So that would be for 1, for instance. .meta. .meta is our note tags. So for each of our note tags in enemy 1, in this case, take our temp still queue and add the number version of our data enemies target.meta item. So what that's going to do, looking over here, is it's going to go here and it's going to find 2 of these, and it's going to say the first one has a value of 7 and the second one has a value of 8. We're going to turn those from a string into a number, and we're going to put those in the temp still queue list or array. So we end up with an array of numbers, and those numbers are the IDs of the items. So ultimately, we have a list of item IDs, right? Then we're going to roll our steal check. So if our temp steal queue is greater than 0, so if there's anything to steal, and our roll is greater than 11, we are going to do rand item equals math.floor math.random times aml.tempstealqueue.length. Basically, it picks one of the numbers in the queue at random. So in this case, 7 or 8. Then we're going to do gameParty.gainItem. That's a command from inside of RPG Maker that, well, gives the party an item. And what item we're going to give it? Well, we're going to give it a copy of the item we drew randomly. And we're going to give them one of them. So if it's a 7, it's going to steal a potion. If it's an 8, it's going to steal a super potion. Next, we want to tell the player that something happened. So the battle log is that set of text that comes up at the top of the screen in a battle. Well, we're going to say battlemanager.logwindow.push, so add to the log, add text, and the text we're going to add is stole, and then the name of the item. We use backticks here, which is the button before the 1 on a US keyboard, and backticks allow you to do string interpolation. So the $sign and then curly brackets, whatever's done in the curly brackets is treated as JavaScript code. So you can put any valid code in here and it'll give you the result. So in this case, it would say stole potion or stole super potion. Then we're going to tell it to wait a second and then clear out, which just allows the battle log to keep going. We are also going to say if the steal was not successful, then do the other thing. We'll say unsuccessful in battle. Show text again, unable to steal anything, and then wait and clear it out. So that is our steal function. With the only new part, the key part to learn that you didn't get from other videos is right here, once again. The grabbing that meta text. So for every item in our target enemy's note tag, grab the meta text. And then add its value in number form to our steal queue. That's the magic here. So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, please let me know and I will try to explain it further. Next up in this series, I'm going to be going over how to convert this into a plugin command, because for right now it's a script command. So I will show you how it works as a script command. It's pretty simple. We are going to go to skills. We have a steal command. We set up our basics and we tell it to run the common event steal. In our common event, all it does is run, right now, a script command, which is aml.steal. Why aml.steal? Because that's what we named it here. And those parentheses at the end just means run it instead of print it, essentially. So that's going to run our command. In a little while, we'll convert that to a plugin command to make it a little bit prettier, but it'll actually be doing the same thing. So I am going to, just for the purposes of, well, you know what? It's fine. We can look at it, and if I miss, I miss. We can show it a few times. So to show how it works, we get into a battle. We say that we want to steal. unable to steal anything. And we'll give it another try. Unable to steal anything. Our luck isn't very good. I'll give it one more go, and if it doesn't go, we'll go and cheat in the code. Oh, there we go. Still a super potion. It just needed to be threatened. And now if we go to item, there's our super potion. So there you go. We have a steal system working in RPG Maker. Hopefully that's interesting to you. We will stop here for now. And if you are interested in getting some more details on exactly how this code works, or if you're interested in seeing how we're going to convert it to a plugin command, be sure to tune in next Friday. Thank you, and happy game making.